seriously guys, I just love this episode.
Pokemon Ranger, I choose you!
What's up my dear boys and girls, it's your Ranger here and welcome to something I have never done before since I started reviewing the anime. To make a video about an episode which as of now is over a month old. Long, why would you do that? You won't get any views or likes for this video. And you know guys, you're right, you got a point. But at the same time, I really like and appreciate this episode so much. And that is why I will use that spare time I have for YouTube to make a video about it. Because in my opinion, it's just worth it. So, grab some popcorn, grab some cookies, and let's do this. So since this is a pretty old episode, I will just make a quick rundown when it comes to the story. Proud at conquering Tapu Fini's island trial, of course Kiawe tells all of his friends about his adventure with Ash, while also showing off his brand new Z crystal. But this feeling of pride changes into shock, because both Ash and Kiawe recognize the old man who they encountered during that trial and who quickly has been revealed as Hapu's grandpa. So the conclusion, they actually do meet dead people while being inside Tapu Fini's mist. Hearing all this stuff about dead people, Mallow's and also Lana's mood change very drastically, with Lana revealing that Mallow also experienced a death of a beloved person, in this case her mom. And soon after that we get an emotional one-on-one dialogue between the two besties, followed up by a flashback where we see several events. For example, Mallow's mom catching Bounce Sweet for her daughter, or Mallow screaming at her mom because she was just sick and tired of hearing all the excuses she told her daughter. And because of that last negative experience, Mallow really didn't want to meet her mom again, to hide the shame she felt towards her rude behavior. But sadly there's no escape for my faith alone girl, and soon not only her but also the majority of the gang is trapped inside the mist illusion of the guardian deity, including Ash and his Pokemon and Lily and Gladion, who was training nearby. Inside the mist, the first one who says hello from the other side is Stoutland, and naturally Torracat has a sweet reunion with his former mentor, and after showing off his progression, Stoutland is all like,
Huh, you did evolve and you still know Ember, you weakling.
and soon he shows how to train properly by turning that pathetic Ember into a Fire Blast. Throughout the episode we even see how Torracat actually trains really hard to learn that move, so it isn't out of nowhere like Rowland's Razor Leaf. But now we enter the meetup many people have been waiting the most and which Mallow has feared the most, her reunion with her mom. And wow, everything about this scene was so good. Mallow running into her arms with tears running down her face, repeatedly saying sorry for how rude she was towards her and how she regrets all of her actions. But just like every mom, she understood the feelings of her child, and instead of making excuses, she instead said thank you. Thank you for making your father and your brother happy. Thank you for taking care of the restaurant, and just thank you for being my daughter. Hearing those cheering words, Mallow finally calmed down, dried up her tears, and also thanked her mom for everything she has done. And wow, I mean honestly guys, I just told you what happened, but words alone can't describe how beautiful this scene actually is. I will now sum up the rest. Trying to save her friends, Hapu tries to convince Tapu Fini to free them by using force, and thanks to that one flash cannon, the deity appointed her to be the next Kahuna. Soon after that, the mist is slowly disappearing, and so are the beloved ones, who have to go back to the other side, with especially Mallow at first being devastated, but later on not only being calm, but also bringing a new friend alongside her, SHAYMIN, who was drawn by the feelings of gratitude between Mallow and her mom, and until it flies off, it will stay by her side. But what about Lily and Gladion? Well, after hearing all these stories about the encounters of the dead, they all come to the conclusion that their dad is still alive. And the episode ends with Hapu accepting Ash's challenge, which, you know, let's not talk about that. So that's the episode, and without any more hesitation, ratings. What can I say about the story? From an emotional standpoint, this was perfect. The emotional dialogue and display of love between mother and daughter was beautiful in just every aspect. I even liked the appearance of SHAYMIN, since it is known as the gratitude Pokemon, which added a nice symbolic touch to the episode. I also liked the relationship display between Torracat and Stoutland, and even after his master disappeared, he wasn't emotional, but instead he looked up proud, like a real grown-up being able to stand on his own 2 feet, or in this case 4 feet. By the way, him learning and training to master Fire Blast was also a really nice bonus. And the reveal of Gladion's and Lily's dad still being alive made a good cliffhanger for a future emotional storyline. But the question is this a 10 out of 10? A score that I have only given to 3 Sunnymoon episodes out of 110. From an emotional standpoint, yes, definitely. But from a logical one, it really breaks my heart to say this, but sadly, no. But almost! Hear me out. The way Hapu earned her title as a Kahuna was a little bit anticlimactic, since it only took one measly attack to convince Tapu Fini to appoint her as the next island queen. But if it was only that, then I could have just easily overlooked that. But now here comes the big issue. If you ignore how emotional, how beautifully animated and directed the Mallow scene with her mom was, you gotta admit, This dad mom situation kinda came out of nowhere, and my biggest issue is it shouldn't have been out of nowhere. If you look closely at every Mallow focus episode, the one with a dad, the one with a brother, and the one during a past with Lana, and you will soon realize that every episode of Mallow was connected to a beloved person, who also either were connected to her mom or at least knew about her mom being dead. So here's the question, how comes that none of those episodes mentioned her dead mom? In the episode where she was fighting with her dad, she could have said something like, if mom would be here, she would understand. Or the episode with her bro, she could have said things like, if mom would be here, she would be so proud of you and how you've grown, brother. And during the flashback of Mallow and Lana, she didn't mention her dead mom once. Not even during the scene where she was scared, which would have been the perfect time to mention it. So if you recall all these moments where Mallow's mom could and should have been mentioned, yeah, it really is out of nowhere. So it's not a 10, but the emotional aspect makes this episode too good for a 9. So it's a 9.5 out of 10. What can I say about the focus? Inside Tapu Fini's Mist is the title, and honestly, I really wish that the focus was a little bit more emotional, since this episode really was heavy on the feelings. But at the same time, I really like the mysterious and unknown vibe this title gives, and people who are going to check out this episode will definitely be surprised. So I still will give it a 10 out of 10. What can I say about the animation? Can't say much about it because it was overall great. Naturally, the main focus of the animation was on the whole Mallow scene, focusing especially on bringing out as much emotions as possible. And not only that it was beautifully animated, but it also was impressively directed. From the music, the voice acting, until the scenery. Everything was awesome. 10 out of 10. So this episode scores a 9.83 out of 10. And even though I feel sorrow in my heart because this episode got this close of being a 10, I still will recommend this episode 100%. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this long overdue review, and just like always, see you guys in the comments down below. Bye guys!